On this edition of Prime Sports College Hoops, brought to you by Covers.com and uwager.eu, we'll update the top bubble teams, this week's college basketball conference tournaments, best bracket busters with bids, and more. As Prime Sports College Hoops on the Prime Sports Radio Network starts now. All right, it's Wednesday, March 7th, 2018. I'm Greg DePalma. You're listening to Prime Sports College Hoops as March Madness is well underway. 12 bids awarded so far, many more to come. Before we get started, make sure to visit Covers Experts. That's experts.covers.com for the very best in sports betting information. For limited time only, you get 50% off any purchase by using promo code PRIME50. That's PRIME50. And we'll get into our futures a little bit later on, and I'll tell you about an offer from uWager if you want to open up a sportsbook account with our sportsbook sponsor. But first, let's introduce my co-host for the show. Not sure if we're going to have two of them, but we are hopeful. Scott Zillatoro, though, joins me. Mr. Zolly, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, man. It's gonna be a good couple weeks coming up.
Yeah, we're right into it. We've got Jamal, our co-host, is traveling all over New York, isn't he? Bouncing around with tournaments.
Yeah, so I did that a few years ago with him, where we back in the College Hoops Daily days, where we would both we did the Big East and the A10 were at the same time. So I'm sure he's having a lot of fun. I'm jealous I'm not up there, and I'm also jealous I didn't get to go to the Big Ten. But well, he's doing it for us, so he's doing good work.
You know, I don't understand. Make me understand something. Why is everybody in the Big Ten upset about going to Madison Square Garden, yet I'm not hearing anything about the ACC going to Brooklyn? What's the ACC doing in Brooklyn? Did I miss something?
Well, they wanted New York, and the thing is, they know that you can't. The Big East is not going to relinquish the Garden. They're not going to give it up. You're not going to get it from them in this time, in this spot. So if you want New York, if you want New York, you've got to do early, like the Big Ten did, which I'm sure this doesn't really bode well. I'm sure the Rangers and the Knicks aren't thrilled to have these extremely long road trips. I'm guessing that they're on right now. Or you got to go to Barclays Center in Brooklyn, which is a great place to take in a game. I've been to 20 or 30 college basketball games there, but it doesn't hold a candle to the Garden.
All right. Well, the ACC at Brooklyn, they've been through a couple of games today, and Louisville with a big win over Florida State. That game was ugly early, and really, you didn't really feel that Florida State was in that game at all. And then BC with a nice win over NC State. That was a pretty good game.
That was a great basketball game. I had that on TV too while I was watching Tottenham Juventus. What a heck of a game that was too. But yeah, I was very, very surprised with BC, and they looked really good. That's the best BC has really looked in a long time on a big stage like that. I mean, I saw them in the ACC tournament twice in person, and they were, a one and done. They were awful. But now things are starting to get turned around there, and it's really just top notch for what Jim Christian's done there. And people were not too hot on him early on in his first 2 years. They didn't really win many conference games. In fact, his first year they went 0-18. So, but now he's got them 8 wins this year in the conference play. So good for them.
Yeah, and if they can keep Jerome Robinson for his senior year, that would be huge because you get a guy like that on the court, and that's the reason why BC can be dangerous and make things interesting in the ACC. But so sticking with the ACC, because Lunardi thinks there should be, and there could very well be 8 teams out of the ACC. The question, though, is which of those 8? Remember when we talked last week, we had mentioned that Florida State better watch out, because with that jumble of having them, okay, so all right, well, maybe last week they were ahead of Louisville and Syracuse and Notre Dame, but right now Louisville, Syracuse, Notre Dame are still playing, and if
Well,
Louisville, Syracuse,
that's unfair because Notre Dame hasn't played yet, so Notre Dame could lose tonight.
well, they did, they already won,
in the same situation.
But they won a game. I'm just saying they're still playing,
right?
Even though they didn't really beat a real team.
No, fair. I mean, they beat a team that has 0 wins.
But if they win tonight, and then look, if they win tonight, they better be in.
Well, I think if Notre Dame wins tonight, it's certainly they'd still be below 500 in conference.
That's
they'd be
okay.
at 500 in conference. They'd be 10-10 if you include the tournament game.
Then that's good enough. Then that's good enough with the injuries they had.
I think that's good enough too, especially Bonzie Colson. He's back. He made that big statement yesterday in his post-game interview, literally saying, "I'm back." And look what he did. 19 points, 6 rebounds, so a big game for him. Didn't shoot all that well, but that'll come with it. He did shoot well from the line, though. He got to the line plenty.
Yeah, so big game tonight for Notre Dame. Probably not going to get in if they don't win, but a win, and they probably should be. And the winner takes on Duke tomorrow. So that is a great opponent for Notre Dame if they do win. And
it's an even better opponent for Virginia Tech, who just beat Duke a couple of days ago, a week ago.
And Syracuse has North Carolina tonight, so we know Syracuse needs to win.
It's a must-win.
Yeah,
Syracuse.
But if they win, see, this is what I'm saying. If they win and Notre Dame wins tonight, I'm telling you, I think Florida State's in trouble. I know they got 6 wins versus top 50 teams. I get it.
Yeah, well, yeah, they are because there's no way the committee can put in 10 teams from one conference. They can't do that. They can't put in 10 teams, including 4 teams that had below, either at 500 or below 500 records, and then count out a team like Providence who went 10-8 in the Big East, or Seton Hall or Butler who went 9-9 and Marquette went 9-9. You can't count all those teams out if you're going to put in 10 out of 14 from one conference.
So we'll find out though whether Syracuse and Notre Dame can make things interesting with those
how could
bids.
You make the case? Yeah, I think you make the case for Florida State right now over Penn State. I just don't see how you could, or Nebraska.
Well,
I just don't see how you could.
Let me see. Well,
I know Nebraska. They hurt themselves losing to a team that's now ranked 7th in the country in Michigan. But
I think what's going to hurt them though is definitely Nebraska. See, what's going to hurt the problem is okay. Penn State can't go in over Nebraska. That's for sure. So Nebraska, if they're let's say Nebraska is the top team, so they're compared to say Florida State. The thing that we just said, Florida State's got 6 top 50 wins. Nebraska has 1, and I think that's what's gonna that might do Nebraska. It might.
That's true.
So that could happen. And let's see. Also, I guess Jamal has to call back. Let's see. What else? Oh, and by the way, Louisville's got Virginia tomorrow at 12 o'clock in the ACC. So
that's a big one for Louisville.
Oh, yeah. Considering they lost a buzzer beater to them last week, if they're able to win that game tomorrow, then, I mean, you got to think. Now, the only thing with Louisville is, though, coming into the tournament, they're 1-11 versus top 50 teams.
Yeah.
So will a win over Virginia get them in where you would think it would, even though they're 1-11, because Virginia's the top team in the country?
Yeah, I mean, Virginia right now is probably the number 1 overall seed in the country, and at least put it this way: if you look at the regions right now, you have Virginia, which in the South, which would make sense. Nova in the East, Xavier in the Midwest also helps them, and then according to Lenardi, Kansas in the West. So geographically, the only one that really gets hurt is Kansas. That's only because all the top 4 teams right now are all on the eastern half of the country. Kansas being the furthest one out. Virginia, in my opinion, would be the number 1 overall seed. If they lose to Louisville, they're still a number 1 seed. But I think that alone helps would help put Louisville in the tournament.
All right, so that's what's going on in the ACC. Meanwhile, and again, the ACC, the Big 12, and the SEC is supposed to get the most teams. Let's go with let's go with the Big 12 and a major game going on. If you're listening live tonight, it's Thursday. Right now, it's Wednesday at 6. So talking about another hour.
Minutes away.
Yep, Oklahoma State. And
a playing game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it should be. I mean, there's no way you could put Oklahoma in the tournament if they lose again. You just can't.
No. And I also think Oklahoma State has enough of a resume to put in the tournament.
Yes.
If you make the case, they won at Kansas, they won at West Virginia, they beat Texas Tech, and they beat Kansas again.
Yes.
How could you not? What else do they need to do?
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair if they beat Oklahoma. And then they lose to Kansas, and then you put that as a negative because what are you supposed to beat them 3 times?
Exactly. I mean, this is another thing where I'm like, how can you justify putting Florida State in over Oklahoma State, who, as I just said, beat Kansas on the road, beat West Virginia on the road, beat Kansas again, and I mean, how it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. So, but first things first, Oklahoma State's got to get the win, and for Oklahoma. You wonder, though, even if they beat Oklahoma State, look, that's not a team that's...
say that they're not a guarantee.
No, I mean, they're not... They're beating a team that's not even in the tournament.
Now, if they get through Oklahoma State and then get through Kansas, then they're in. They will have played themselves in. But right now, in my opinion, people are still under the Trae Young... They're under the Trae Young darling, and they're still thinking that, because they have Trae Young, they could beat anybody. But it's proven that, I mean, right now, I mean, again, the only reason we bring this guy's name up a lot is because he's the biggest name in bracketology. Joe Lunardi has Oklahoma has a safe 9, and that is just absurd to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just absurd to me.
Honestly, I'm really kind of surprised about that, really. There are a few of those that I don't get, and that's one of them right there. I know there's a couple others as we'll go through, but I don't see how Oklahoma is safe. I don't. Arizona State, that was the other one, right? But I think they finally. Now, did they win today, or did they lose?
We have Jamal.
Jamal, did they win or lose?
They lost to Colorado.
They're done.
Out.
Done.
They're out.
See ya. So, because last week when we did the show, they were safe.
I thought they were safe, but now they're out.
Yeah, they're done. You agree with that, Jamal? They're done.
I wouldn't say completely done, but it looks shaky for them now.
Well,
the thing with them is they have a lot of big wins early in the season that look good, but now even their numbers, like their RPI, is going to be so low. It'll be hard for them to get in.
Jamal, you have any idea which teams it's going to take for them to lose for Arizona State to get in?
I mean, there's so many this year. There's so many bubble teams.
We just named several in the ACC.
Yeah.
And the Big 12.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, there's just so many. That's why they might sneak in. I mean,
they can't. I mean, I hear you. What, they're 5-3 in top 50 games, which is impressive.
Right.
And
that win at Kansas. They have a couple other wins like that.
But come on.
So that's like the one thing to me that Oklahoma still has going for them is in wins against in games against top 50. They still have 6 wins. They're 6-7. But it's really what have you done for me lately, in my opinion. I mean, granted, they did beat Kansas, in the end of January, but the fact that they have just lost to so many, bottom tier teams in that conference in the last month since the win, it just, to me, it's too much.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, this most recent loss killed them, really. I mean.
Oh yeah, that has to be. Has to be their death now.
And it also is pretty much a bad loss. I mean, Colorado. It's they only had one bad loss prior to that, so you got to add this to it. Remember they also beat Xavier on a neutral court.
Right.
But yeah, unless every other bubble team loses, it's probably just probably not looking good.
Yeah, and
remember once upon a time they were a top 5 team in the country.
Yeah, which was
Right.
kind of crazy when that came out. I know it was early on in the season, but that was, you could tell when that happened, that was ridiculous. That was like, come on, how that was the first sign that you knew this was going to be a really weird season in college basketball as far as real parity that we haven't seen ever before. So this is cool. You've got a few minutes, Jamal. You're running all over the place in New York. First of all, were you covering the Big Ten last week?
Yes.
And
that was fun.
So what'd you think about my boys, Michigan? Are they ready for the Final Four now?
I mean, they're as ready as anybody else in the Big Ten for sure. I mean, they were a 5 seed in the Big Ten. They end up winning the tournament, as we know. But it wasn't like a typical 5 seed winning the tournament, getting some breaks. They basically dominated Michigan State in the second half, and they dominated the entire game versus Purdue, 2 teams that are supposed to be Final Four caliber teams. So you got to put Michigan right up there with them. Michigan's probably looking at like a 3 seed at this point. So they'll have a decent enough draw to get it done. They're definitely going to be a lot of people's sleeper Final Four team.
I actually think...
I mean, can you call a 3 seed a sleeper anymore? I don't think a 3 seed is a sleeper.
Probably not.
But Jamal, so I know there's definitely people who have asked me, would you think that Michigan would be below both Michigan State and Purdue on this bracket?
It's a possibility. I think they might sneak ahead of Michigan State. Michigan State, everybody loved them. Even I loved them preseason. So I think there's a little bias there. But when you really look at their resume, they haven't done much.
Well, they also
been a
haven't
top
got to
5
play
team
themselves.
in the top 25 all year. But when you look at it, I think they have like three or four quad 1 wins, they're calling them now.
They only have 2 top 50 wins.
Right. So.
Yeah, they don't impress me. I think what it was is they had gotten on a roll, and you figured, all right, Tom Izzo, Michigan State, they're on a roll, watch out. And then once they played a real team, they Michigan handled them. And look, they almost lost to Northwestern. They came back from down 27 or something like that.
Yeah.
They almost lost to Rutgers, and that was overtime, right? I think at Michigan State. So these and that's, if you're a really upper tier top 5 team, you're not supposed to do these things. And I think the warning signs were there. So, but I tell you what, I think this Michigan team is better than last year's Michigan team with DJ Wilson and Walton. And because I think they're better than last year's team, and there's no way the teams in college basketball this season are better than last season, I think that's why I think Michigan's got a Final Four shot, and not just a shot. I think depending on their bracket, they're looking pretty good. But you got to go out and win the games.
Right, and the Big Ten has been pretty weak this year.
It has been.
So like a team like Nebraska is 13-5 in the Big Ten, and they probably won't make the tournament. That just shows you what the Big Ten is. And Michigan, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, Michigan looked like the best team in the Big Ten, over that weekend. So,
and that was the important thing too.
Beilein's been there, done that.
He's a real good coach.
Yeah.
And that was the thing I think that's important too. It's not that they won some ugly games, or they just slipped by. They looked impressive winning those games. So it wasn't one of those things where you can go, well, it's the conference, whatever. But no. They looked impressive. They were clearly the best team in that tournament. What about what you're going to be and have been covering this week? Your ACC. Give me an ACC update. And we saw Louisville win a big game today.
Right.
That's the big thing. Louisville, Syracuse tonight. Talk about the bubble teams there. Notre Dame with a big game. What do you think if Notre Dame and Syracuse win?
I think if they both win, they both have a good shot at getting in, especially with, we just talked about Arizona State hurting themselves. Of course, it depends on what other teams do, other bubble teams do. But I could see a scenario where the ACC gets 11, where everything breaks right for them. Notre Dame beats Virginia Tech tonight. I think if they do that, they're right there. Could go either way. Syracuse is definitely in if they beat North Carolina, and even if they lose, they're right there. They could easily get in. They have a high RPI. Last year they were like a 70-something RPI. And they didn't
yeah, that's true.
This year they're like, 41, 40, something like that. So,
yep.
They're right there. They could easily get in. A loss to North Carolina won't hurt them numbers-wise. So, and then, Louisville, I think is in now that they took care of Florida State, which is a very good win at the time. Even though Florida State now looks, Florida State will get in, but they look shaky. So the ACC is going to get 10, 11 teams. It looks like.
Oh, Jamal thinks they can get 10 teams, Scott.
Oh, so so Jamal, if Oklahoma State loses tonight to Oklahoma, even though they have all those wins, I think they have 5 top 50 wins, 3 of them on the road. How can you put them in over 2 of those ACC teams like that?
7 top 50 wins for Oklahoma State.
There you go. 7. How can a team with 7 top 50 wins, including a win over Florida State, how can they not get in, even though they have wins at Kansas and West Virginia back to back?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. We got to see. I gotta crunch those numbers when it happens.
Well, you know what it is? Go out and win the games. I think there's so many, like you said, Jamal. There's so many bubble teams right now. Go and win the games. That's it. If you don't win the games and you wind up not getting into the tournament, don't blame anybody.
Right, and that's what Dang Adele from Louisville said after the game today. They asked him if he pays attention to the bubble talk and all that kind of stuff, and he said, the kid Snyder, the point guard, said he did pay attention, but Adele said, no, I don't pay attention. I just try to win, and it'll take care of itself. And if we win, we beat Virginia next game, we're in. That's what we have to do.
That's true. That's it. Yeah.
That's definitely the way to look at it. Now, whether you can, exactly. Whether you can get that done is a whole other story.
All right, and then the Big East, the only drama is Marquette, right? Or Providence. Providence also drama?
Yeah, I think it's a little drama. I think if Providence were to lose the first round game, they definitely be nervous going in, as they should be. Same with Marquette. I think both of those teams. I think Providence is probably in a little bit better shape right now, but not by much. But if both win, they don't play each other, do they? I forget what the
No, Marquette's got the Paul tonight, so you lose that one,
right.
You're out.
Oh, right. They can't afford to.
Providence is Creighton.
You can't have any bad losses now.
Oh, that's a tough game for Providence against Creighton.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough game. And so if Providence loses to Creighton, it's not a huge blow. But it also, like you said, it depends. That it puts Oklahoma State in the mix. If Oklahoma State wins, then that could knock a Providence out. So
does St. John's have a chance to win the Big East tournament?
No, I don't think. I don't even think Pons is healthy.
He's not.
Pons
He's not.
He didn't play last game. I think he's going to play tonight, but he's not 100%.
Okay.
I don't think they could string together that many wins. Maybe they could come up with 1 or 2 big wins, but I don't see it going past that.
Why, before I go to a different topic, why does any particular reason, is it psychological or is it matchup? How come Xavier can't contend when they play Villanova?
That's a good question. Because you would have expected, especially this year, that it would be, they'd have a shot, but they get blown out twice. I guess it has to be. It has to be somewhat mental. They're not. Villanova's not that much more talented.
No.
And Xavier won the Big East.
That's right. They did.
But they can't even compete with Villanova. So maybe they'll get another shot in the tournament. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't think they'll want to do that. All right, let me ask you guys. Out of the teams that are in the not including Michigan, or Gonzaga. All right. So the other teams that have bids right now, that includes Lipscomb, Radford, Charleston, Wright State, Iona, Loyola, LIU, Murray State, Greensboro, South Dakota State. Give me a couple teams in there right now without, of course, seeing the bracket yet. Starting with you, Scott. Give me a couple of teams that you like the most. Potential bracket busters.
It's kind of a cheater to say, South Dakota State with Mike Baum. They almost beat Maryland a couple years ago. This was 2 years ago, and I watched him as a sophomore. He was unbelievable. I think they're outstanding, a really, really good basketball team. I also like I mean, I like UNC Greensboro. They're a team that played really. It's a team that we talked about a couple weeks ago when we were doing these the conference previews. And I mean, they're not going to do anything, but it's very exciting for Radford coming off that kind of a performance that just puts your team on a new level. And they have some new life going for them, hitting that buzzer beater at home like that.
Yeah, but you're right. They're not going to go anywhere. What about you, Jamal? Give me a couple of teams.
Yeah, I like Loyola Chicago. They actually won at Florida this year.
That's right. Yeah.
27-5. I think they have they're 27 in the RPI. So they're right there with some big name teams. And like I said, they've already beaten, a good team in Florida. So you got to be careful with them. But they probably get a reasonably high seed. In terms, they might get a 12 seed or something like that, 11 or 12 seed.
I think they're higher than that. It's the worst Missouri Valley Conference we've seen in 10 years.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty bad. But what do you think they'll go on, Jamal? You think they'll go more on the team itself, the RPI, or the conference where they came from?
I think they're going. Yeah, I think they'll. They say that they don't look at the conference like as a whole when judging a team.
Okay.
Who knows if that's true? But they have enough to just go on their team. People complain about the committee, relying on the RPI too much because they do.
Okay.
So they're going to look at that 27 RPI and they're going to give them a pretty high seed.
How about this? 14 of their 27 wins are against RPI 150 or higher.
Yeah, they're probably all from their conference.
That's not it. Exactly. It has a lot to do with their conference.
I'd probably be more. I probably hammer them more depending on their losses. Do they what are their bad losses?
Well, they have their worst loss is Milwaukee, who they lost to by 17 points, and they were 228 in the RPI at the time.
Okay. Yeah,
they lost to Boise State by 34.
Yeah, it doesn't help either, even though Boise, in my opinion, belongs in the tournament.
Yeah, Boise right now, Lenardi has them as a next 4 out, which I'm not happy about. The good news for Boise, though, is they avoid Nevada, Fresno, and San Diego State before a championship game. So they can get to the championship game without having to play any of those teams. And that's good. So maybe they get to that because they're going to have to, of course, get to the championship game and probably win the thing. But if they lose, then, as long as they would lose to, say, Nevada, then maybe they get in. What about Lipscomb or Charleston? Now, we would sit here and go, Florida Gulf Coast won, so Florida Gulf Coast, watch out for them. But Lipscomb just beat them. And that offensive performance was incredible. That kid Matthews was like, come on. They looked like Florida Gulf Coast to me, except, in a different kind of way, not dunk fest, but offensive performance was outstanding. Now, I know they're probably not going to play much D, but if they're shooting their shots like that, Jamal, why can't Lipscomb be a team that knocks off someone?
They can. Anybody can. You know how it goes. You know how the NCAA tournament goes. They could be the next Cinderella, sweetheart. I wouldn't put anything past them. It all depends on the matchup. And most likely, there aren't that many, world beaters, out there this year. So most teams are vulnerable. So
you would think so.
Give them a shot to win a game.
Yeah. And what about Charleston? Big comeback win last night, Scott. Down most of the game, all game. But that home crowd helped them out with the comeback late. And they had everybody returning from last year's team that won a bunch of games, 25 games. They were preseason favorite to win the conference, and they almost didn't get it done. But, hey, they're in, so they could be dangerous.
Yeah, Wakili was on another level last night, 32 points. Had to basically go stride for stride with, I always get this guy's name wrong, Pusika or Pusiak, whatever his name was, the Northeastern kid. But that was a hell of a conference championship final, an overtime game. Good for CBS Sports to get that one. Shout out to a big client of mine. But a heck of a game there. Charleston, here's their biggest issue is they have no depth. Last night they played 4 guys for nearly the entire game.
Really? They went 4 on 5.
They went
Just a little humor there, Scott. We do get you. They try to pull an Alabama. And, I don't know. What do you think about Alabama? Do you think they definitely have to win, don't they? The Alabama-Texas A&M game. Is that a play-in game?
No, not for Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M is pretty safe. They have a lot of big wins. For Alabama, I think so. I mean, especially the way they finished.
5 straight losses.
Yeah, you can't, you're not going to get it in having lost, being already on the bumble and then losing 6 straight. I can't see it.
All right.
That just turns me right back to Oklahoma.
But Oklahoma hasn't been that bad. And Oklahoma has a lot of good.
I mean, hey, they had the same amount of top 50 wins.
And what about the UCLA-USC? You think they're both in? UCLA tomorrow plays the Stanford-Cal winner, and USC, they are going to be taking on the Oregon State-Washington winner. So if they both win one Pac-12 game, are they in?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And it is only a 3-bid league. Does Utah have a chance?
Utah has a chance with like 2 or 3 wins.
So they got to get to the championship game.
Yeah.
All right, Jamal. I know you got to run. You're busy. What are you working for? CBS? Local?
Yes. Yeah, CBS local at the moment.
We don't have to hyphenate that and say local. We could just make you out as a big shot and say, "What are you there for CBS there, Jamal?"
Okay.
Not that saying CBS local isn't a big shot. Yeah, it's. I mean, look, if you were working for ESPNU, we wouldn't be we wouldn't be going. Well, let's say ESPN. We don't want to say ESPNU.
Hey, I'm just trying to be honest over here.
No, that's okay. All right, so you're going to join us on Monday for our bracket preview. When are we doing that? We're doing that late Monday night, right?
That's up to you.
Yeah. This way we have all day to prepare. So, so we'll do it late Monday night. Not sure when that's going to be, but Jamal will enjoy the bracket show. And don't forget, it's not on CBS. So sorry about that.
TNT this year?
TBS.
And it's going to be Barkley and what's his name? Kenny Smith and the whole show? Shaq? Are they all going to be there?
Who knows?
I heard they're really going to mess it up this year.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Really? How? With who?
I really do. They're changing the format. They're like introducing the teams in alphabetical order rather than the brackets. It's just going to be
awful.
Disaster.
Yeah, it's going to be a disaster. And as usual, if they have any of those clips of the teams that get in, they're going to make sure that they don't have the clips of the teams that don't get in, because they're politically correct in that situation. So,
right.
Which is a bummer, but it is what it is. All right, Jamal, enjoy your games tonight and enjoy the rest of the week. It's going to be awesome. And we'll talk to you on Monday. Can't wait to preview the bracket.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Thanks, Jamal. All right, that's Jamal Murphy. And he's also you can also catch him on the Bill Roden podcast on iTunes. When is that? That's every Thursday, I think. I think that's when it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Every Thursday. So. Yeah. So.
Can we? I think this is something that warrants a quick talk, a quick chat about. The Selection Sunday thing.
Okay.
The fact that they are like you said, they're going to review all the teams in alphabetical order, and then they're going to reveal the matchup.
Whoa, wait. Say that again. What are they going to do in alphabetical order?
The teams. They're going to reveal all 68 teams first.
Oh, they're going to reveal the teams in alphabetical order, but then they're going to show the bracket.
And then they're going to show the bracket.
So we're not going to have any idea what the bracket.
They're saying like, this is great because everybody will know if they're in or not in the first 15 minutes. Okay, but then they got to wait and see who they're playing?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense because if you're like, let's say, Alabama, and they're already into bees.
You're turning the TV
you're
off.
like turning the TV goes off. Instead of waiting for the old way where you would wait for that final little 2 teams left on the bracket. Maybe we're there. Maybe that's us.
When you have a little bit of hope.
Yeah, I got a 1% chance. We're already into the bees. They didn't say Alabama. Oh, that's it. Click. Yeah, that sounds ridiculously dumb. I don't know. Whoever made that up should be fired. So you're saying it's not going to be the NBA guys?
I don't know who it's going to be. It's just going to be a joke regardless.
I bet you it will be. Because they're on during the college basketball tournament, so it would only make sense if you're going to be on TBS.
Yeah,
you might as well use them.
Nothing is better than Charles Barkley saying, I like that number 34. What was his name again?
Yeah. Yeah. He's a busy NBA guy doing Saturday Night Live. So he's got a busy schedule. All right. So let's see. So pretty much we covered everything. Baylor's in, right?
It got to be. I think they've got to be.
Baylor is one of the final 8 teams in Lunardi's. Not the final 4, but the 4 after that. So Baylor for me is, just if you look at, they passed the eye test, and they certainly have an exciting enough, group that, people want to watch them. But they can't get in if Oklahoma doesn't get in. Like right now, today, before the games start, because Oklahoma's got the same record and a much better RPI. So you see the problem there. So Baylor really better just beat West Virginia tomorrow night. That's it. Just beat West Virginia. Don't put yourself in a position.
I don't know how much the committee looks into head-to-head, because if you look at the head-to-head between Baylor and Oklahoma, Baylor beat Oklahoma by 17 at home and then lost by just 2 at Oklahoma, 98-96. It's just crazy.
I just think it all depends on the person, because the individual will just want to put his own criteria in the mix. And then if you ask him, well, why did you do this? Then he's just going to make up reasons of why he likes them. So you know how it is. Well, they make up stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And another team that has, beat Kansas, beat Texas Tech and Oklahoma in the last month. So, and they beat Creighton. So.
It's going to be one of those shows where you're going to be able to compare resumes without the names listed first, and then you're going to be able to go, well, this team is in, or which team do you think should be in? And then you're going to go, well, of course the team on the left, and then you're going to go, well, nope, the team on the left did not make the tournament, and the team on the right did. It's going to be one of those tournaments. So,
I still think, and that has a lot to do with there not being as many good teams and being a lot more mediocre to good teams. I can't see a world where Oklahoma State is out and both Baylor and Oklahoma are in. So, but like you said, Oklahoma State, they've got to win the game in about 22 minutes. They've got to win that game. That's a great game. Up until this point, it's one of the biggest games we've seen in all the conference tournament schedule, playing-wise, obviously, other than the conference champions of the small teams.
Is St. Mary's easily in?
Yes. Good Lord, yes.
Okay. If they had not beaten Gonzaga, would they be in?
Yes. They're ranked, what are they? They're a top 40 RPI team. I know they don't – look, and this is another thing that has to do with the scheduling, because they're in such a weak schedule. They only have 2 wins against top 50 teams. And I just can't see a world where
they just shouldn't have lost. I mean, when you lose to BYU and the next night Gonzaga destroys them, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. That is bad. It's bad, but I still can't see them being out.
No, I agree. They'll be in.
I can't see it.
Yeah, they would have to take a lot of these teams we're talking about, like Oklahoma State, Baylor, Syracuse, Notre Dame, all these bubble teams go far and deep into the tournaments, and you have to put them in, and then all of a sudden teams that you never thought that you would, be on the bubble, all of a sudden are on the bubble.
Well, I mean, it's like I said on our last show that St. Mary's and Gonzaga have to eventually just find a way to pop themselves into the Pac-12. All the other big conferences, the ACC's got 15, the big got 14.
Or the Mountain West, or at least the Mountain West.
No, I don't think the Mountain West is good enough.
Yeah, but at least, but if you put those 2 teams in the Mountain West, now it's a lot better. Now you've got 4 or 5 good teams in the Mountain West.
Yeah,
with Nevada, San Diego State, Boise, Fresno.
Sure, I'll give you that. I'll give you that.
Yeah, because I don't know if the Pac-12 will do it. I just don't know. I know they should. I agree with you. I just don't know if they will. So maybe Mountain West. That would be a pretty cool thing. I mean, look, if Wichita State can leave and who else left? Who left before Wichita State? Who was that other team that left? Well, Butler. Butler left the other conference, the Horizon.
Butler's left. I mean, VCU's gone places. Mason left.
Yeah. So why not Gonzaga and St. Mary's?
Hell, BYU left to join the WCC.
Yeah. Well, they could stay. Leave them behind. Let them be like the. Let them. I mean, they probably wouldn't mind either. Oh, good. Those two teams are gone. We can go to the tournament every year now. We'll win the automatic bid every year. We'll be the dominant team in the West Coast.
Hey man, don't sleep on Santa Clara.
Santa Clara. All right. Don't sleep on Santa Clara. All right. So, well, look, there's just so much going on. There is going to be an awful lot of bubble talk that we won't be a part of, but that's okay. Because we just can't wait for that 2-hour alphabetical bracket show on Sunday. And look, I haven't looked at a lot of I know all these the new technology, and of course they came out, what was it, a month ago or something, with the first unveiling of the top 16. So
that's a joke to me.
So I don't know if any of that stuff, when it's all said and done, when we get the final bracket and we look back, how accurate will things be? I don't even look too much. Go ahead.
Don't you remember they did this with football? They did this with football too. And then a couple years ago they had like TCU as a 4.
Oh yeah, they still do it. Yeah,
they won that game 45-42.
Yeah,
a huge game. Everybody thought they were in, and then they still kept them out. It's all just for show and for advertising and for sponsorship. Look, I work in TV. I know that everything like this is literally drawn up for marketing and stuff. So they can get the Geico top 16 teams or whoever the hell it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even like to look at, like, when I was going over the information before the show just to see what Lenardi had, I didn't even reference his bracket. And I know sometimes the brackets can make certain sense even when a guy like Lenardi puts it together, and then what you see, the final result, especially now he's got more information than ever, trickling out earlier than ever. But fact is, I mean, we've talked about this before. Why, I don't understand why anybody would want to know. I mean, that's the whole beauty of the bracket show, and the whole thing is, don't you want to be surprised? Don't you want to have that feeling that you haven't even seen what a bracket might have looked like from Lenardi 2 days ago, or the top 16 from last month, the unveiling? I mean, why look at that stuff and ruin your excitement? That's like the NFL draft, when ESPN used to always tell you what the pick was before the guy walked up there and told you what the pick was. They finally got rid of that nonsense.
That's what happens with Twitter these days anyway, so.
All right, so we are going to do our bracket show on Monday. That is the next show, our next college basketball show. But let me just take a look at our schedule. We've got the bracket show on Monday. Then we're going to be on for the round of 32 preview. Now, keep in mind, we're going to have 2 Saturday morning shows. So one will be on the 17th. That'll be the round of 32. And then the very next Saturday, the Elite 8. So we'll have, because those games on Saturday usually start somewhere between 12 and 1. So we'll be on about, 9, 10, 11 in the morning, somewhere around there. We'll get on early to make sure we can get you as much pre-game information as possible. We'll have our Sweet 16 preview show and also our Final Four and championship game shows. So that means we've got 6 more shows to go, at least. And who knows?
All of the basketball.
That's right. And by the way, your final did you get my did you get the futures?
I did.
Okay. Did you notice anything out of there?
Well,
by the way, I did take. Remember, I told you I took Michigan last week. Thank goodness. I took them at 40-1 in my final futures. I hadn't taken Michigan all year,
15.
and I got them just in time before they went down to 15-1. So.
If you look at it, here's some of the teams that I think. So Missouri is an interesting one because they've jumped up big time. If Porter is healthy like people think he is.
Well, is he playing? No word yet if he's going to play. Nobody still knows.
I've heard both ways.
Okay.
Let's put it that way.
Are they playing tonight or tomorrow? When does that begin? Tomorrow, SEC?
SEC's tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll see when Missouri, because look, if he doesn't play tomorrow, then he ain't playing. I mean, it just makes no sense. If you're going to play, because they're in the tournament team, so if you're going to play, you get your feet wet right now.
It's looking like he's gonna play. I mean, again, like I've read, put it this way: Paul Feinbaum, the SEC man, I'm told Michael Porter will play Thursday.
Okay.
But how good can he be after not playing the entire season? Who knows?
Well, Bonzie Colson looked pretty good. He got a little bit more action than
Bonzie
Porter
Colson's
did.
A 4-year veteran who knows the NCAA and knows how these games go and everything.
He'll probably.
Michael Porter, you're telling me he's going to come back and let's say they win. Let's say they win their first game. This guy's going to play. He's going to play 30 minutes in back-to-back days? I don't know.
No, he's definitely. They're going to need to win a couple of games to get get himself in shape. That's for sure. Yeah. So they're 80-1, but still, national championship. That's it's one thing to pick a team to. All right, I think they win a couple of games. Maybe they'll get to the Elite Eight. It's another thing to win a national championship. Maybe a regional pick wouldn't be a bad play. You go with like one of those things, or just take a game. Just say, hey, Missouri's an underdog by, they're a 2-1 dog. I'll take Missouri there. All right, so they're 80-1 right now. And let's see. What do you think? Final Four. Did you you didn't put Michigan in last time, did you?
I did. If you remember, I did the Final Four of chalk, and then I did the
other second one.
Four.
Okay.
So and again, that was I'm sticking with two. I'm sticking with three of my teams: Duke, Villanova, and Arizona. And then I'm going to throw Michigan in now and throw Kansas out.
Duke, Villanova, Arizona, Michigan?
Duke, Villanova, Arizona, Michigan is my Final Four.
I can see Villanova, Michigan.
Now, of course, it's all, BS because
we're going to be doing it on Monday. Yeah, we'll be making that final call. Yeah, this is more for futures, not really anything else.
Because three of those teams, at least two of those teams could easily be in the same bracket.
Well, look, I don't care that they lost. I think the Oklahoma State game meant nothing for Kansas. So I love the fact that they were 10-1 before that game, and they're now 17-1 because they lost. They got blown out by Oklahoma State in a game that they could not care about.
Exactly.
So I'll take those extra 7 points and add them into my futures report again today. So
you'd be crazy not to.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, we talked about Cincinnati needing to beat that Wichita State team, and that was a big one for them. So that gives us hope that maybe they can make that run. I mean, they're still kind of an ugly team offensively, but it's an ugly year. So why not Cincinnati?
I mean, hey, as long as you can score more than Virginia, and,
oh, I love it. I love it that Virginia's number one. I mean, I'm telling you right now, if they don't have
could you imagine a Virginia-Cincinnati championship game? Are we talking like 43 to 41, something like that?
I'm going to freak out if it's like Duke, Michigan State, Villanova, Virginia in the Final Four. I'm going to freak out. If we can't get like 3 out of 4 sleepers this year, we're never going to get them. I mean, this has to be a year where it's like Cincinnati, Auburn.
Well, you can't call Cincinnati a sleeper.
Well, I mean, they've never been there as far as I know. Have they been there before?
That's not the definition of a sleeper.
I would think it would be. The long shot is 50-1, 80-1, 100-1. To me, a sleeper is like a team just like this, just like it sounds. Be quiet. Nobody knows about Cincinnati. Nobody's going to pick Cincinnati.
People know about
Yeah, the experts know about Cincinnati.
People know about the Natty.
The experts know.
And by the way, they've won the NCAA tournament twice.
When, 1920 and 22?
61, 62, and actually lost the championship in 63.
Oh,
talk about that history, Greg. You were alive, weren't you?
No, I was not even a sperm count. So yeah.
Final Four in '92. You were alive for that one.
92. Boy, who was on that team? 92. Yeah,
I guess that's one for the.
I would remember who their player. I'd have to remember at least a player from that team.
That was a Bob Huggins coach team, by the way.
Then there you go. Was that wasn't Martin's team, was it?
That couldn't have been, right? He's got to be not that young. How about Nick Van Exel, maybe?
Could be. Makes sense. All right. And as I mentioned before, for those futures, and we gave you some of the odds on there. If you do want to, if you don't want to wait until Monday and to see the bracket, maybe these odds go down again. Kansas, if they win the Big 12 championship, you're not going to get 17-1. So there are some odds that could still go down. I mean, look at West Virginia's 30-1 if they win the Big 12. Those odds could definitely be cut in half or something like that. And Arizona keeps dropping now, so if they win the Pac-12, they're dropping again. They're back down to 20. So
by the way, how about Clemson at 150-1? That's wild.
Well, we did
that. Is, I mean, look, I understand it's Clemson, but that is wild considering that they could be as high as a 4 seed and they have wins at Ohio State against Louisville, Miami, North Carolina, Florida State. I mean, goodness gracious.
Yeah. And so anyway, if you want to open up an account at UWager, you get a $100 risk-free wager if you sign up this week with a $100 minimum deposit at UWager. Just click the banner on our website. And again, also with covers, you get the 50% off any purchase by using promo code PRIME50. That's PRIME50. All right, Scott. So we want to thank Jamal Murphy for joining us too. He is probably right now getting some popcorn and heading somewhere. I don't know which arena he's in, but he's in one of the arenas in New York getting ready to cover some more basketball. Tough gig. And we'll talk to Jamal. He'll be on the show. We'll also be joined by Steve Merrill from Covers.com. He'll give us some action. Their college basketball handicapper we had on the program a couple of days ago. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at PrimeSN. And we'll see you on Monday for the bracket special on Prime Sports College Hoops, Prime Sports Radio Network. Our next show, by the way, on the network is tomorrow at 12:30. We have a NASCAR show. And, Scott, do we have a time yet for the baseball show?
We can do it anytime you want.
Oh, I like that. All right, so we'll probably do it sometime tomorrow in the evening. So Scott and I will talk some baseball. What do we got tomorrow? What is it? The North. Central. There is no North in baseball. So the Central.
It's not the NFL.
No, the Central Division in the American League and the National League. Yep, that's right. We got your Cubbies to talk about tomorrow. Our baseball show tomorrow night. So NASCAR and baseball tomorrow. And horse racing on Saturday. For Jamal Murphy, for Scott Zolotoro, I'm Greg DePalma. We'll talk to you on Monday for the bracket preview special right here on Prime Sports College Hoops.